So, hello to everybody and welcome. And so glad that everybody can be here on this Friday. And I know for some school systems it's spring break, so some folks are off and running and doing other things. Sorry, we're going to have a rainy weekend. So hopefully y'all have been able to enjoy some of the nice weather up to this point. I'm Margaret Robin, and I'm with both Family Promise and Appalachian Promise, formerly Bristol's Promise. And we've been doing these meetings since I think about March 20th or end of March 2020. So within 2 weeks of when COVID locked us all down, we started with doing online Zoom meetings. So we're really proud of that. And that was Appalachian Promise that started with getting those meetings lined up. We continue, we meet monthly on almost always the fourth Friday, 11 to 12. And we work with the Bristol Coalition that's been in existence for many, many years, and they meet on the second Tuesday from 12 to 1:30. They are now doing hybrid meetings, and we are doing virtual. We've not ever met in person at this point. I don't anticipate we will. If people want to, we could do an annual meeting if we wanted to, but this makes it accessible for everybody that can't come to an in-person meeting. The Bristol Coalition meetings are going very well and are very well attended. So they have focused primarily Bristol, Virginia, I think still do, but have plenty of things that Bristol, Tennessee folks are that apply to us. So encourage everybody to participate when they can with those meetings as well. So today I am very excited. So we're going to network and share as we usually do. And I apologize for the last minute notice. And after we have our pit count updates, I want us to talk a little bit about future programs. And I've got a couple of ideas and want to hear from you all if those are good ideas, and then other program thoughts so we can get those scheduled more ahead of time and not wait till the last minute, as I did this time. Today, as y'all know, we had pit count and it coordinated pretty nicely between Tennessee and Virginia. And Terry Burdett is with ARCH, Appalachian Regional Coalition on Homelessness. He's going to give us an update from the ARCH oversees the pit count for, Terry, you can tell us how many counties, but definitely all of Sullivan County, including Bristol, Tennessee. Then Ellen Tolton is the chair of the COC. You can
Co-chair.
say what?
Vice chair, actually.
Vice chair. Oh, I was giving you more credibility, Ellen, with being chair. Vice chair of the COC coalition in through People Link in Virginia. So they had a meeting yesterday. I attended. I took some notes, but I've asked Ellen if she would give some updates from the Virginia. And as we know, here in Bristol, we are one community. So those numbers from both Tennessee and Virginia matter to us and matter for what the overall picture is. So Terry, I can make you, I know you have a PowerPoint, I believe. And once I find you, I can make you co-host so you can share your PowerPoint. You're now co-host. And welcome, Terry. I don't know that you've been at this meeting before, so we welcome you for coming and appreciate you so much. And I know the coalition, if they haven't already gotten these, they're going to be getting them soon too, right? Arches Coalition.
Right. So thank you, Margaret. The numbers that I'm going to go over today are still in draft form. And there's not much to say. I'm just going to hit the high points. I believe that what I have for you today will be the final count for Bristol, though it may vary, changed by a number or two. So the arch continuum of care is the 8 counties in Northeast Tennessee. When I publish the final count, I'll have the whole 8 county area and a separate report for each individual county. And for the 3 major cities, I'll have a separate report. So Bristol, Kingsport, and Johnson City will have its own individual reports. What I will say for the PIC count between last year and this year it's obviously very consistent. The total number that I have right now is just 1 increase. So as you can see on the screen, it's 122 total individuals. Last year it was 121. Now that there's consistency in numbers, though in our region we definitely have seen an increase in homelessness. And I get this feeling that Bristol also has had an increase. So even though the numbers are consistent, maybe we need to do a little more planning to actually demonstrate the increase, or maybe after you hear the Virginia report, maybe they migrated into Virginia versus being in the Tennessee side. The only trends that I can say is that the homeless population is aging. If you see to the right, and I'm going to do some of this analysis. I've never really published analysis of changes over the years because I needed to make sure that our PIC counts were kind of consistent year after year. And I think now we've got 3 years of consistent counting. And but I can see, looking at the Bristol area, that the change in age groups, you can see that our homeless population is aging a little bit. Other than that, the main change that I noticed is that we had quite a bit of a shift from the female to male population. I didn't break down the percentages between this year and last year, but there were significantly fewer females than last year. The last year count was 28 females, where it was 19 this year. And I will say also that there is a shift from the on-shelter count dropped by, or increased by 2, and the shelter count dropped significantly. So that was made up with 6 additional ones in transitional housing and 2 unsheltered. So part of that, I'm not sure why. Abuse Alternatives didn't, I think only had a single individual in-house, and you can see that there was 0 children count. And I think that that is mainly because of not having any children in Abuse Alternatives, and also the women and children shelter at Haven of Rest, Haven of Rest has been shut down for a couple months. I understand it's starting back up next week, but during the PIC count, it was not operational. So those are where we would have our most of our sheltered children. I don't want to really get into the subpopulations yet, because there were a lot of observation counts this year, so I still have to extrapolate the information that from surveys that from the individuals that surveys were not conducted on. So if I show you subpopulations such as those with addiction, those with severe mental health, those numbers are actually probably going to go up. So I'm going to hold off on releasing that information. When Margaret reached out, I said, yeah, I can do give you like a handout. I'm going to hold off on that because it's going to just be a couple more weeks until I have the official data ready to publish. It'll still be in kind of a what I'll call it is a preliminary final count, because once I put the information in and HUD reviews it, they might have some questions and it might cause some numbers to shift. But generally, when I get the data submitted to HUD, it's pretty solid. I'm just waiting on two organizations to complete their cleanup of HMIS before I can go final. So are there any questions? Is there any thing that I might be able to address? I noticed I can't say for like the veteran homeless stayed steady. I think it was 7 for both years. But there's a shift of a couple of them. Instead of being on shelter, they were shifted to transitional housing, but the total count was the same. All right, any questions?
Questions from anybody? I have one question, which is not specific to this, but it's understanding processes. And we know data is usually pretty slow coming, like health department data is usually a year or two old by the time they get it, et cetera, for the overall. So I know the last couple of months, there was lots of news reports about homelessness going up in the US. So I'm guessing that it took that long before pit counts from January of 23 are being talked about in the mainstream media. And so how long does it take? So assuming we see another increase, which the news report was talking that we would, probably, by all indicators, how long does it take to see the data become official nationally?
Okay, so I'm trying to pull from memory, so I'm going to be real careful here because my memory doesn't work so good. Uh, the homeless numbers on the national level are actually done biennial, so it's every other year. Almost all continuums of care throughout the United States do annual point-in-time counts, but for the AHAR, which is the annual homeless assessment report, if I'm not mistaken, that's only published every other year based on the data coming from the required years to submit data. And the AHAR that was released just a couple months ago would have been based on, I think, the 2022 count. It could be the 23 count because it's basically the numbers are all submitted in April of the year. So there's plenty of time to accumulate the data and then do some analysis. So like I said, it's either 22 or 23. And regionally, the percentage of increase between 22 and 23 was probably about the same on the national level. I didn't crunch the percentages to check them, but I will tell you right now where I am with our region. Even though Bristol stayed solid, we are looking at probably additional 80 individuals, which would represent a increase of probably about 13 or so percent from 23. So regionally, we've had a big jump, and part of it is that we had one region or two areas that have Greene County and Johnson County are doing better with the pit count. So where Greene County, we didn't have very many numbers in the past. There's an organization down there, Canopy, that did a very good count that are showing much more realistic numbers.
Thank you. Somebody also asked why the Haven hadn't been providing services, and I know that, but I can't remember.
Yes. So Yeah, I can answer that. I
Great,
actually emailed Brian this morning
great.
because I didn't have uh, any surveys for women and children, and I asked what the status was with the with their ladies
Children.
shelter. And what happened is somebody had retired, and I guess she was the key person running the women's side, and so they shut down. I can let me pull up the email so I can give you the exact answer. And sorry, that's yours, Margaret.
Right.
And trying to move over, so I'm
That's
not sharing
okay.
it, but
You can
that's
find it.
okay.
You can find it in a minute.
It's
So,
there. He says it was closed since November, and but they're
right.
going to be back up and running next week.
Next week. Great.
Yeah, that's their plan. So yes, that's what happened, was just a retirement.
Right. Which of course has a huge effect on individuals. And Ellen will be ready to give an update in a minute, and we will hear some of that from Virginia for being up. For Family Promise of Bristol, we were sending monthly reports. We're a little behind on that because we're working on a newsletter. But our total for 2023 during the year, we saw 876 unique individuals. So that's in Bristol at our day services at Salvation Army. So that is a huge difference between the numbers that Terry just shared with us for 122. So that's a huge difference, and that's over a year's time. But that we do count. We've had almost 6,000 guest visits, but unique individuals, it's getting close to 900 for last year. And we at the day services have seen increase of age, more people coming in who are elderly and unable to pay increasing rents. Also, a lot of people who have disabilities with similar problems. So, okay, Ellen, if you want to give us a little update on what the COC in Bristol, Virginia.
Sure. Good morning, everybody. The information I have is not quite as detailed as Terry had, but we do have some numbers to share. Now, the Cumberland Plateau Continuum of Care covers several localities in Southwest Virginia: Bristol, Buchanan, Dickinson, Russell, Tazewell, and Washington. Included in all of those, we had a total of 197 unsheltered folks counted. Of that, 88 were from Bristol, which is actually, I think the count was around 60 last year. So that's almost a 20% increase. And everybody agreed that we definitely saw increased numbers this year. We had, let's see, we did have backpacks we were able to distribute. A lot of generous donors provided the backpacks and basic necessities that went inside of those. Approximately 70 of those were distributed. The other thing is we have not gotten the final numbers. I think Terry mentioned this too. We have not gotten the final numbers back from HUD yet. And these numbers may decrease because their definitions of unsheltered are a little bit more stringent than what we use. But overall, we, like I said, it's 88 for Bristol, definite increase from last year. And participants, those who helped, survey the individuals, all stated that they definitely know they missed some folks. They were, when they were going to the areas where, their tents and that kind of thing, that a lot of people were missing. Several people just did not want to respond to the survey. So those numbers, again, are probably much lower than actual counts.
So, Ellen, can you talk about what was found between the paper survey and the online survey?
Oh, what Betty
I think that's
mentioned?
huge. That is huge.
So yes, our chair, Segal, who's with People Incorporated, when she was putting these numbers into the system for the HUD count, she noticed there was no question for the veteran population. And now we did all of ours on paper. Because we feel that those folks that we survey are more responsive when you just, put it on paper rather than carrying around a tablet, that kind of thing. But it also led us to believe that those folks that were using tablets or electronic devices may not have been getting the veteran information, which might be huge. So anyway, Betty had right away contacted HUD to let them know about it. So we don't know if the same thing happened on the Tennessee side or what, but that is an issue that hopefully will be corrected if it was an issue this year.
So Terry, do you know, did most people do paper or online, or how did
Yes.
you do it?
Yeah, we're 100% paper survey.
So have you uploaded any yet to find that problem? Or they may have corrected it by now.
You asking Ellen?
No, I was asking,
Okay.
have you started
Yeah.
uploading yours and found
Yes.
there's no veteran?
Well, no, we don't have an issue with that. Because
Okay.
we do survey, we have the veteran questions on our paper.
Yeah, well, when she entered them, there wasn't a place to put that in. That's
Oh,
my
well,
understanding.
the pick count, I haven't looked on, they just opened this week the ability to put the data in
Great. So
HDX.
hopefully, great.
And
Hopefully they've corrected it.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I won't be doing that for another couple weeks until I got final numbers.
Right.
Yeah, our disconnect was we did have the question on our paper surveys, but when it went to be entered into, I guess, the HUD site, there was no place to put in whether or not they were veterans or not. So I believe they were going to correct that. So
That is huge.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So if people had already started doing that and missed it, that means a huge impact for.
Yeah. I don't know that they know for sure yet whether those who were doing the surveys electronically did not have that question on there. But they're definitely looking into it. And Betty, I think, was one of the first to discover the issue. So.
Right. All right. Other questions for Ellen or Terry, or observations or anything from other people to comment and anything. So what observations from people here who are providing services for either data that you have or from your own observation about the numbers increasing, about the population changing with increase in aging, decrease in women? Anybody have any additional comments or questions? We're a quiet group, so we know the pit count is a moment in time, and it does matter a lot how well we do it. And it also is just really hard to get organized in January after holidays, etc., to be able to do a good count and get everybody participating, etc. So it is critical and something to work on. Ellen?
One other thing I probably should have mentioned, which many of you are probably aware of, but the Bristol, Virginia, we do not have any shelters on our side. So our count was not from the shelters. We did the day centers, and it was actually going into the tent sites and the parks and that kind of thing. There is a small shelter, I believe it's in Buchanan County, but for the most part, Bristol, we don't have any sheltered.
Yeah, somebody, Betty talked about a shelter in Tazewell. Also, I think that there are some domestic violence shelters perhaps within.
Yeah,
that
that's in
area.
Tazewell. That's, that is included in our count. I'm sorry, but yeah, so they have one there as well.
Right.
But nothing in Bristol proper.
Yeah, and Washington County had what was their count? I wrote it down. 40 no, let's see.
They had 44.
44, thank you. In Washington County. So that's still in our overall environment, our catchment area. The lack of shelters in Southwest Virginia is an issue. That means everybody comes to our shelters here in Bristol, and they're in Bristol, Tennessee, which also apparently national and state people do not understand how that works. So it can be difficult serving clients when they're sheltered in Tennessee, but consider themselves Virginia residents. Some of that is difficult. Andy, you want to say something?
So where is the nearest shelter in Virginia for Southwest Virginia? Is it Roanoke or is it?
Currently Marion, but it's just a warming shelter. It's not a permanent operating all the time.
And it's relatively new, right?
It is, and they're not going to be able to open it next year if they don't find a permanent building. So.
And that just operates as a warming shelter, so just during cold months.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not in all the time. I think they're closing April 15th. So. But that's the first one between here and Withful.
Oh, okay.
Withful has a few beds. They don't have a whole lot open, and then after that's Roanoke. And Galax has a warming shelter as well. And then there's some domestic violence shelters kind of scattered, but that's about it. Am I right on that, Linda?
Yes, there is domestic violence in Buchanan and also Norton, but there is no homeless shelter, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So it poses a real problem for folks on probation to be in the shelters on the Tennessee side.
Yeah.
There's nowhere for them to go.
So it's work to be done. Someone suggested that wherever Ballard has a hospital, it would be great to be sure that we have a shelter. I think that's a wonderful way to start. And I know at Salvation Army and Haven, frequently people are released from the hospital to the shelters, and the shelters are not prepared to do that at all. And I think Johnson City is working on seeing whether they can get that kind of care for that would normally be nursing home or rehab, but to have something for people who are homeless, experiencing homelessness. Yeah, but that could be a way to approach it for a start, is to start doing that. And especially since we have the need is so much greater. I know personally for some reason, everybody has my phone number, and occasionally they have my home phone number too, which is interesting. I mean, if you can spell my name, you can find my phone number. But one evening, I think on my home phone, I received a phone call from a woman who was under a bridge in Castlewood trying to find shelter opportunities in Bristol. So it breaks your heart for what's not available. Melissa.
So I will say Bristol Hospital has just started, Bristol Regional Medical Center has just started a waiting room for people who are being released. So, it used to be that they would have to wait outside or they'd have to take out of bed. And there's now a waiting room. And so the question has been asked, what if there's not somebody to pick them up? What if there's not somewhere to go? Does that, how long can they stay in that waiting room? So that conversation is being had at Bristol Regional. I don't know about the other hospitals in the system.
Right. That's helpful. Yeah, a problem is people need care. They're not ready to be, certainly not in a shelter where they have to leave during the day when they're still recovering. it is a huge issue. Andrea, you were going to say something earlier. Anything you want to add?
No, I ended up putting it in the chat and Ellen answered it, but thank you.
Okay. Um, okay. Oh, okay. Right. For Anchor. Yep. Yep. So, we do have Anchor that offers some services. I'm not sure what they're offering right now. They are difficult for coordinating different things with. So, but they are, and they, I think, work with the Marion, the people who are doing the Marion shelter or warming center. So, okay, other thoughts or comments or anything along these lines? We do continue to have a lot of needs. The money is not enough. The emergency solution grants are due this week. Those are competitive, highly competitive, and all of us need the money and all of us serve people who need services, and there's just not enough. So we really would love to have more funding to be able to serve people with better and more complete services. For Family Promise at Bristol, I was going to say the biggest thing, we have the warming center type situation, but we also, the biggest thing I think we provide is access to case management. And that's for folks who are people who are sheltered, people who are unsheltered. Where else are they going to go to find case management if they're on the street? And yeah, so, and not every community has that opportunity that people can find case management by walking in or by calling an intake line. So that's what Arch does with intake, and they have walk-ins as well in Johnson City, but theirs operates a little bit differently from how we're able to do with Family Promise. So, okay, if there are no further questions or comments along these lines, then we could do some updates, and I'll call on our speakers first. Terry, do you have any updates from Arch that we should know about or that you know about that are of interest?
Yeah, kind of caught me off there. I don't think so. Everything's just kind of, running.
Right. Thank you. Ellen, I'll call on you next.
No, I'm good as far as everything else goes. I don't really have any other information to offer right now.
Okay, thank you. And Christina Blevins is usually here, but it is spring break and she is off with her husband and daughter having a true break somewhere. Linda, I'll ask you because you've got some things going on. So
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Margaret. I appreciate that. Wanted to let you guys know we do have Reggie Dabbs coming to Bristol, and you're all invited on Wednesday, the 27th. He will be speaking to your 4th and 5th graders at the Virginia High School auditorium. They're going to bus those little ones to us. And then at 10:15, he'll be speaking to Virginia High students at Virginia High. And at 1 o'clock, he'll speak to the Virginia Middle School students at their school. So if you haven't encountered Reggie, he is a force to be reckoned with, and the kids love him. So you're all invited to that. He is a motivational speaker for all 32 NFL teams and does a great job, incorporates a lot of music and makes it a lot of fun because what he talks about is pretty heavy, talking about adverse childhood experiences and being abandoned by his mom and being in foster care. And so a lot of the students, that message resonates with him, but he reminds them that he's a really happy guy, as it's very obvious. And so rough beginnings do not equal to a rough outcome. So the Power of Love concert with Mike Ferris, Grammy and Dove award-winning artist, is on the campus of Emory and Henry College on April the 7th. That is a benefit concert for the Sanctuary, which is a women's housing program that we're opening in Damascus for women coming out of Mended Women who have entrusted their children to Mount Mission School. Mountain Mission and Mended Women both have beds, so the children can be taken care of. The women can get the treatment that they need right here in our region. So save the date. ASAC's Resource Fair is at the Higher Ed on August the 8th. You're all invited to have a table or to attend as community members. We had 47 2 years ago at our first fair there at the Higher Ed. So we had 82 people show up for our ASAC meeting at the Higher Ed in February. And our room held 65 people. So we got really close and personal at that meeting. I'm glad the fire marshal didn't show up because I'm pretty sure we would have gotten in trouble. But it's amazing to have all those resources gathered in one room. So whether you're one of those resources and want to connect with other people to network with and to partner with on grant applications and all that good stuff, or you're someone who works with folks who might need those resources, ASAC meetings are a great place to connect. And I want to remind you all, there is a reentry council that serves the Bristol area, Washington County, Russell, Smith. There's 5 locales served by this one reentry council that meets the second Monday of each month off exit 45 in Smith County. So if you work with incarcerated or folks coming out of incarceration or folks with a history of SUD, the Reentry Council is another great place to connect. It's well attended. It is available to attend virtually as well as in person. So if you want to go on that list, just let me know and I will be happy to add you to the email list. And I did put my contact information in the chat. And I have another meeting. That's my alarm right now telling me to go. So I'm going to have to slip out so I won't get to hear all of your updates, but I appreciate the time and appreciate the group and the work that you do.
One question. So the sanctuary is currently accepting people now, even?
No, we have some renovations to do. Hopefully, excuse me, hopefully toward the end of summer, we'll be taking women.
Because somebody told me y'all were, so somewhere out there that's incorrect.
It would be totally illegal because I don't have the deed to the property yet.
I was going to be very impressed at the turnaround. So
yeah, but we are hoping there's not a whole lot that we're going to have to do. I mean, the building, if we were not going to turn it into a residential program, we wouldn't have to really do anything to the building. Because it is in great shape. We had the building inspector for Washington County come over and he said, most buildings I see being donated do not look like this one. Yeah, he just couldn't believe it. So we're very thankful. And we are going to keep the sanctuary, the front of the church, the actual sanctuary as is, because we're going to have community events in there. Beautiful wood ceilings and curved pews, and was built in 1907. So, and we want to help our residents rebuild their social capital. So we're going to invite the community into that place. So we're pretty excited, a little scared, but pretty excited. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Linda. Okay. Now I'll put it out. Who wants to give an update? And then I'll call on people as well. Cindy.
Thank you, Margaret. Hi, everybody. I'm Cindy Rocket with Crossroads Medical Mission. And 2 things. One is that we are searching for a resource development director. And so if you all know of anybody you'd like to recommend to us, we'll gladly follow up on that. But we have a lot of big things going on. And one is that we're still working toward construction and renovation of the property that we've built right next door to our clinic on Scott Street. So So if you help us to find a resource director, it will help to get our behavioral health and wellness center up and running as well. So thank you for all you do.
So Cindy, you said you built it next door. It's
We
refurbished.
bought it next
Yeah.
door.
Right, just confirming.
Yes.
Know if there was something different, so,
No.
okay. So,
Cindy, sorry to interrupt, do you have a job description or anything you could send out, or is there somewhere we could go? I have somebody in mind in that region, but
Great. Andy, I'll email it to you.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
great. Thank you, Cindy. Okay, next. Andrea?
You must have read my mind, Margaret, because I was getting ready to unmute.
I did.
I am Andrea with United Way of Bristol. I'm the resource coordinator. And we still have and have secured some sponsorship for our Ride United program, which is a transportation gap grant. Specifically right now, it is specific to those who are employed and do not have transportation and need to get back and forth to work. So that's just to keep that on everyone's radar. And I put my email and phone number in the chat.
Okay. Thank you, Andrea. And at some point we should have, so Bristol, Tennessee has a job ride program, but it can cover so many. Go ahead, Andrea. Do you want to talk about how it works together?
Sure. Well, this particular grant really fills in the gap when public transportation is not available. And so we cover weekends. We have clients who work at night. So they have to be at work like at 7 o'clock at night and then get off at 8 o'clock in the morning. And the 8 o'clock in the morning really isn't an issue, except for some work in Virginia, live in Tennessee, or vice versa. So it takes, I spoke with a client and he said it takes him an hour and a half to get using public transportation to get from near exit 1 to exit 7. And we're grateful and we encourage our clients to use public transportation when they can, even if it's an inconvenience. But we encourage them to use public transportation when they can. And then our grant fills in, nights and weekends when public transportation's not available. So.
Thanks. Yeah, and the job access does go a little bit different hours than the regular bus transportation, but I don't know that it goes weekends or the whole round the clock. But it's something Bristol, Virginia does not have at this time.
Correct. Correct.
So thank you, and that's very, very needed. So that's great. So okay, Andy, did you give us an update, or you asked a question earlier? So
I asked a question, but I will give an update. So Optima Health is no longer. We are now Centera Health Plans, which Centera has always been our parent company. I know we've got some billboards that are down in the Southwest region and other ads that are going on. So a little backstory, Optima Health and Virginia Premier were both down there. Virginia Premier became Optima Health, and now Optima Health and Virginia Premier are no longer, and it's just Centera Health Plans. So we do the Medicaid managed care. We have Medicare Advantage. We DSNP. My role is community resources for the region for our consumers. So anyways, events and resource opportunities, just keep me posted. One of the programs we're working on statewide is to find a good avenue, physical agent, maybe, not sure what, but we want to institute a program for individuals to help them pay for rent or down payments or utilities, things along those lines. So I don't know if the COC would be a good way to do that, or if there's another avenue, but I'm open to suggestions and insight. So if feel free to reach out, call me, email me, whatever's easiest. Next Thursday, I'll also be in the area hosting a community advisory forum, just very similar to this, for folks that work within Medicaid, either in Virginia or Tennessee. It doesn't matter, because I know we do some crossover there with the medical and behavioral health, that sort of thing. So, but that's going to be on Thursday at 11 o'clock at the library, as well as Microsoft Teams. So if you have any interest in that, shoot me an email and I'll forward that information out. So anyway, thanks. Great being here.
Thank you, Andy. Yeah, and there are some different possibilities, I think, for exploring that. Caitlin Talley with the YW.
Hey everyone, it's Caitlin Talley with Moms Are Us Team Pregnancy. Just giving an update that we currently have a Friday prepared childbirth at the YWCA, and we also have a Saturday 10 a.m. virtual class. And since I know you all serve all counties around here, we have active counties in Johnson County, Tennessee, and Washington County, Virginia. So if you have anyone that needs help, please send them our way. And if you'd like to be on our newsletter, we share community resources to our community partners and to our moms and dads. Please just send your email in the chat.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you. Renee?
Hello, Margaret. How are you?
Good.
Good. The only update I really have, they're continuing to work on our building. They did move our change of venue date from May to June. So the Bristol office is now moving in June instead of May. I've continued to talk with, I think I mentioned it at one of the prior meetings, our Healthy Transitions program that works with, it's a grant funded program. They don't bill your insurance. They don't have to be a current Frontier Health client to access the program, but they work with individuals ages 16 to 25 for educational planning, career planning, counseling, case management services. It's just an all-around really great program to help people, gain independence and address barriers to independence in their lives. And so I'm continuing to work with them as they're building their program here in Sullivan County. They were actually planning to join me today, but they had something come up downstairs and they weren't able to. So hopefully they'll be able to join me soon and share some of that information with you all themselves.
Great. Thank you, Renee. And if you can put your contact information, if you haven't, in the chat, and that goes for everybody else too, if you haven't already. So, okay, Jesse.
Hey, everybody. My name's Jessie. I am a community health worker with Aetna, one of the Medicaid MCOs. One thing we have coming up is on May 11th, we are having a mental health awareness event that's going to be hosted at Cumberland Square Park. We're aiming for 12 to 3, but we'll have more information forthcoming. If you would like to be there to set up, to be involved, I put my email in the chat up at the top. Just let me know. Just let me know and I can get you in touch with the main person who's putting that on. But that's something that we're really excited about. But that's about all the things new we have going on.
Thank you very much. And if you ever need an email address for somebody and you can't find it, you can email me and we can look for it. Okay, Danielle Hahn, do you have pronounce your last name correctly?
Haney.
Haney. Yes. Any updates from you or things to share?
Well, I sincerely appreciate being a part of it and getting to listen to what everybody's doing in the community. Spectacular. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Melissa from Appalachian Promise.
Yeah, we continue to host our Youth Networking Alliance meetings. Our next one is coming up on the 28th at noon. Those are virtual for the most part and focused on Bristol. you know, we have our resilience network meetings, used to be the trauma informed care networks. And we have those in all of the upper 8 counties of Northeast Tennessee, and coordinate with United Way of Southwest Virginia on the Southwest Virginia Trauma Informed Care Network. I do encourage everybody to check out our calendar at AppalachianPromiseAlliance.org. We try to post all the things we find from your organizations on our public calendar on our website, so that people know, but also for resources, servinghere.org is kind of an information and referral database that is supported by the summit companies, but not really like owned by them. It's owned by the community. So that's all I have.
Okay. And y'all can see Eric Fields' update. It's a YouTube on our Family Promise YouTube channel. And encourage you, if your information is not already listed, be sure you list that. And it used to be servingtricities.org. You can still reach it through that that URL, or servinghere.org is the new branding name for it. So thanks for sharing that. John Knack.
Yeah, just kind of going with the theme of the beginning of the call. Creekside serves a lot of homeless people. We don't have grant money, but we do get people that need detox or mental health crisis help. We do have access to some grants, but Mount Rogers has one, but we basically send an invoice and they have to live within the grant area, but it covers almost all the Southwest Virginia counties. So basically, what we do is we would either provide transportation or they would come to Creekside. We would treat them, and while they were with us, we would work with another, Bristol Lifestyle Recovery or somebody else, and then we would do door-to-door drop-off so that they didn't have time to get into trouble with going back to the old environment that got them in trouble to begin with. So it just really requires their address, their permanent address, their information to see if they are qualified for this grant to get reimbursement. And yeah, I know Ballot has hired a bunch of navigators in Southwest Virginia because people do, especially when the weather gets bad, they use the ERs. And Creekside is a psych ER, so homeless show up at our facility. And if they don't meet criteria, we're having to find them housing or the next step to get them where they need to be. So it is a challenge, both manpower wise, facility wise, and then also reimbursement wise, because we're listed as for-profit. And it's very difficult to get grant money for a for-profit, even though we're servicing the same people that show up at the other facilities in the area. So, but word of mouth strong, and if you all can share that information, it would just require the name and the permanent address to see if they would qualify for services.
Right.
We got a 5K on April 13th at Creekside, if anybody ever wants to come and tour and or run or walk. Thank you.
Thank you. Angela Gentry with People Incorporated. Welcome. This is your first time here.
Yes, hello everyone. My name's Angela Gentry and I'm with People Incorporated. I work in the workforce department with WIOA, the Title I programs. I cover Bristol, the city of Bristol, Washington County, and some of Smith. Some great updates that we've had. We've been able to expand our WIOA programs up into the New River Valley. So we've been able to just help more people and get these programs out there. We've also been able to expand our TANF employment program. This program can help individuals, get right back into employment. They can help with tuition assistance. They can help at times with a loan for a car. We're very excited for this expansion. It really has helped our clients here in Washington County and the city of Bristol. So knowing that we have it all the way up through New River Valley, we're very happy about that. I would love to come back 1 month and maybe do a presentation on these programs to give y'all more information, if that would be something y'all would like me to do.
Thank you. We'll look forward to learning more and and helping people figure out the services that y'all provide. So that's great. Casey Caudill.
Hey, Margaret. Yep, sorry, I joined a little bit late today, but loved hearing all the updates from everybody. I don't have too many updates. My one update is that I'm about to be on maternity leave, and so I won't be around for a while. But if anybody has any questions, you got about probably like a week to contact me. No, I will have somebody else who's stepping in and can handle any requests or anything that come through while I'm out. Thanks, Andy, for the little praise. That's exciting news. Yeah, it's definitely exciting. Like the countdown is on. But my only other update is we are currently trying to expand our TAB program, the Treatment Access Bank, into Northeast Tennessee. Here, I'll put the link real quick in the chat for those of you who are unfamiliar with it. But basically we can cover like sessions of therapy for, it's up to 15 sessions now, which is awesome for folks who are either uninsured or underinsured. But the issue is, you know, we need the funding to bring it up here. And so I'm looking for anybody who's able to back something. We do have, I don't know how to word it, so I'm going to just be pretty blunt. We do have somebody who has agreed to fund partial programming if we can get another. Like they will match what somebody else is able to provide. And so if anybody knows or is interested in knowing more or learning more, contact me, because I'd love to bring the TAB up here. And then for folks on the Virginia side, I have not been told no, like I have not been told where a lot of our services are provided simply like, or I should say only for Tennesseans. I haven't been given the no yet for Virginia for TAB, especially if funding were to come from the Virginia side. I mean, they can't tell us no at that point, right? So I'm not excluding it at this point. So if anybody, like I said, you have any questions or if you know of any funding sources for something like that, just let me know. And that's all I got.
Great. So, thank you. And Emma, you've put a message in that you're having a little microphone trouble. And you're pushing Girl Scout cookies, which we are, a lot of us are enjoying as you remind us about them. So, sign up event. And I can say my granddaughter started doing Scouts this year, and it's been a great fit for what her interests are. So, going from there, Jamie Kincaid's got an update. And Angela's got her contact information. Christy Davenport. If you're speaking, you're muted. And if you're not there, you had to leave your spot, then I think, anybody else need to add anything? Did I skip anybody? Anybody have anything else to add? Family Promise, I should say, we are looking for a part-time intake coordinator. We do have a job description. It went out through Gary McGow's emails. We can send it out through this group too. We had an AmeriCorps worker who, because of the contacts she had and the training she had with us, has gotten a full-time job with benefits, which is much more than AmeriCorps provides. So we are thrilled for her, but we have that gap to fill. We're hoping to have a yard sale. We'll get more on that later. And we have a golf tournament that we partner with the Lions Club, Bristol Host Lions Club. We're looking for $100 hole sponsors. So I know everybody here just about is, and they're a Virginia one. So Andy, I'm looking at you if y'all want to do a hole sponsor, but even nonprofits may have a little bit of money to do that. So if you have any dollars to share, the whole sponsorship's $100. And you get a little sign on the green. So let me know if you have any interest in that. Okay, so if that's it, Karen, I didn't call on you. We're working on our grants, et cetera, with due dates coming. If you have anything to add, you can add to it. Life at the day services continues to be swamped. I think we broke a record this week with 84 people attending. When we started, we'd have 25 to 35. Then it was regularly 40 to 50, and now frequently it's close to 70, and we broke it with 84 people there. And I think that was yesterday when the weather was actually good. So people are finding out about the services that are provided and taking advantage of those. So if y'all have any questions or anything else to add, and I can send out stuff to the whole group in between our meetings, I do apologize. I think I missed sending out the chat some of the time, so I will try to get the last couple of meetings, the chat. So if you missed some information, you can go back and look for it. With that, if there are no other inputs, we're just a couple minutes over, and so I appreciate everybody attending. Appreciate Ellen Tolton and Terry to share the information, especially short notice for both of them. And programs, real quickly, for those of you who are still here, a couple of programs I thought could be interesting is to have Bristol, Tennessee and Bristol, Virginia housing give updates, either at the same meeting or two separate. Also thought it could be good for our COCs to talk about their structure, their organization, how they work, because they're a little different. The People Inc. is the continuum of care and that serves Bristol, Virginia and counties there. ARCH, Appalachian Regional Coalition on Homelessness, as Terry spoke, serves the 8 counties in Upper East Tennessee. The state charters that organization. They're chartered a little bit differently, how they work. Sometimes that's hard for people to understand. Thought it might be nice to have people talk a little bit about how those work. So those were a couple of my ideas. Other people have thoughts? Anything you heard today you want to hear more of? No suggestions. So, Ellen, do you have a suggestion? All right, well, we'll see what else would be good. We are Tennessee and Virginia, so we do try to be sure that we're covering things that apply to both Tennessee and Virginia. Andy, did you want to add something?
I was just going to say, with the new RFP that happened in Virginia with the state putting the Medicaid bid back out, there are going to be some changes. So, and it's right now it's in a blackout period, so I'm not sure when that's going to be announced statewide, but might be something to look at having a discussion on.
That would be great. So changes in Virginia Medicaid. We could also talk about how the heck we can get Tennessee to expand theirs. So, and certainly we could talk about, it would be helpful to talk about what the benefits that have been seen in Virginia. And I think there are many that help to make the case for the Tennessee legislature.
Absolutely. As in North Carolina just expanded theirs.
I think there are 10 states left. So yeah, it's just despicable, but that's my editorial comment for the day. Okay, if anybody wants to email me any thoughts, and if you want to talk more about the work that you do, we just look at how it applies to the majority of people in the group. And if it's a Tennessee only, we try to see what we can do to parallel that, either in the same meeting or in a separate meeting, 2 separate meetings. So, okay, I will stop the recording and we'll hopefully see you next month, and appreciate everybody's time. Take care.
Have a great one. Bye-bye.